Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
Hey guys, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be spending a little bit of time out in the garden. I have some fun garden updates. We're going to talk about what happened in the garden last year and the plans for this year. We're going to plant some things and just kind of start maintaining it for the spring season. So the first thing that I actually want to do is plant up this gorgeous terracotta bowl. I actually talked about this in my last video. I got it at home, and my original inspiration for this was to do a really beautiful succulent bowl because I mentioned when we went to Italy, I saw them all over the place and I just thought that they were so charming. But the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to make this a little bit more practical. So I decided to plant an herb garden in here, kind of similar to the succulent bowl idea, but just with herbs. So we're gonna go source the herbs real quick and then we'll come back and plant her up. So when picking out my herbs, I wanted to have a couple different varieties so it would look a little bit more visually interesting. And kind of like the succulent bowls, I wanted to have different shapes and textures. So I went with some thyme, which will look really pretty, kind of spilled off to the side, and also some oregano. And I found that if you search for herbs at grocery stores, they're usually cheaper and a little bit more mature. So it ends up being a better deal in my opinion. So I ended up getting 2 basil plants, which will give my planter some nice height. And then the oregano and thyme will be a little bit lower and help to give my arrangement some pretty movement when it spills off to the side. And all of these herbs grow well together, and they're the 3 that I use most often when cooking. And obviously, anytime that you plant anything, you just want to make sure that you give it a good long drink of water. And I found that basil typically requires lots of water, especially in the hotter months. It's a very thirsty plant. So because I'm going to be watering this a bunch, I just wanted to use this plate to catch what comes out of the drainage hole so it doesn't damage our table. And really that's it. Super simple. I love that this looks really beautiful as a centerpiece and adds a fresh pop of greenery to our outdoor living space. But it's also really practical because I'll use these herbs in my cooking and they're really close to our sliding door, so I don't have to go all the way across the garden to collect them when I'm cooking. And I also love how each herb has its own shape and texture to help give the planter more of an organically styled feel. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do was hang this super cute little cardinal bird feeder. I actually got this at my grandma's 90th birthday. My grandma loves cardinals and she loves birds, so my aunt made these as place settings for everyone. How cute is that? She said she used a little cardinal cookie cutter, so she made these for everybody, and her birthday was back in January, but I wanted to wait until the springtime because we've been having lots of cardinals out here, lots of eastern bluebirds, I think that's what they're called. Those are my favorite. I'll insert a photo here. It's so funny because I used to never like birds, but now that I'm getting older, I'm like, oh my gosh, a cardinal. So our arbor seemed like the best spot to hang the feeder, and we put this arbor in a couple years ago to act as a focal point and just kind of break up the tree line in the back. And I love the height and charm that it brings to our garden space. And I planted some jasmine to train along the side, and I love how that's growing in this season, and it should flower in a couple of weeks here. So hopefully we'll have some birds come and visit. I hung it on the slatted area, so hopefully they can perch there and just grab a little snack. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is actually plant some tomato seeds, and this will be my first year growing tomatoes from seed. I've heard it's pretty easy to do, and it definitely saves you a lot of money because they typically charge at least $5 per tomato plant at the store. So I bought this little packet of seeds. I think it was like $8 with shipping, and this has 30 seeds in it. So I'm going to talk about really quick though what I went through last year and kind of my tomato plant journey, because last year was my first year experimenting with tomatoes. tomatoes, and I invested in so much equipment. I bought a bunch of these really big pots because for indeterminate tomatoes, you need really big containers because they have a very extensive root system. So I bought a bunch of pots. I bought a bunch of really long stakes. I got some really good soil, some really good fertilizer. I was constantly fertilizing them and staking them, and I had some success with them, but I really just found that they were a lot of work, and I didn't really want to do that again this year because once it got hot, I started having a lot of bug issues and they really just kind of stopped producing at a certain point. I did have a bunch of luck, probably right around June was when they peaked, and I definitely got a good harvest, but like I said, it just wasn't worth the work. But when I was experimenting with everything last year, I on a whim just picked up this cocktail tomato plant off of the Lowe's clearance rack. I was like, it says this thing produces in spring, summer, and fall. Let's give it a try. And I just had so much luck with it. It was super low maintenance. I didn't have to keep staking it. I would go out there one week and harvest some tomatoes, and then there would be more the next week. It just kept producing for me, and I like it just because it's low maintenance, and I got a ton from it. So I froze a bunch of my cocktail tomatoes, and we're actually gonna make a fun and easy recipe with them in just a little bit. But first, I just wanted to plant these. I did get these online, and I'm hoping that they're the same kind that I had last year. So we'll find out. If not, and if this is a fail, I figured it's just easy to go to the store and buy some later on, but I figured we'd at least give this a shot. So I have these little Jiffy pots, which I really like. I actually found these at the Dollar Tree, but I like these because you can start them inside and then you can just plant them in a bigger container or in the ground. You don't have to take them out of the pot or anything because they're biodegradable, so the roots just can go through it. So it's totally fine, and it doesn't give your plant transfer shock, which I found is really helpful. So we're gonna go plant these, and then we're gonna make a fun little recipe with my harvest from last year.
Take a call with an old friend. Get the guts to start over again. You gotta lose to be ready to win. Just enough to fill this bucket up to the top. Fill this bucket up.
Okay, so now that our seedlings are all set and ready to go, we're gonna whip up a quick little lunch using my harvest from last year. So this is all you'll need. If you're unfamiliar, it's basically the TikTok feta pasta recipe from a couple years ago that went viral. And I mean, it went viral for a reason. It's so easy, so good, very easy to make. So you'll just need your cherry tomatoes. I have mine frozen from last year. You can actually freeze your tomatoes for up to a year. And it does mess with the texture when you freeze them, but if you're cooking them in something like this, it really doesn't make a difference. So it's nice that we can use them fresh from the garden. Well, kind of fresh, you know what I mean. But you need your tomatoes. This is a little bit of Italian seasoning. This is optional. I just made my own blend with stuff that I had. These are shallots, a little block of feta, pasta, and olive oil, and that is it. So we're gonna whip this up, have a little lunch, and then get back out in the garden. Okay, so real fast, I thought I would give you guys a little updated garden tour. We did this pea gravel patio last year, and the pea gravel has held up super well. We did do a weed guard underneath, and every once in a while you'll get like a little guy just like this, but you know, you just pull them out and they're super easy to pull out. But I would say overall it still looks really good. It's held up super well. But let's go over here. These are probably my favorite thing that I've ever planted. These are iceberg roses, and they are seriously so beautiful and so low maintenance. We're already having so many blooms, and these just keep growing and keep producing all season long. You can see there are so many buds that just keep popping up, and there's flowers all over, and these have gotten really big. Last year, I'll show a picture of what it looked like when I first planted it. They've gotten a lot bigger, so I really like these. I've been kind of bad about deadheading them over the winter and stuff, so I need to get on that, but they're so beautiful, and probably just in a week they'll be covered in white roses, so I love that. This thing, I definitely need to trim this. This has gotten so big. I'll insert a photo of what these look like when I planted them. These are sensuous roses, and these are so pretty. They're definitely a little bit more high maintenance than the iceberg. Iceberg just kind of is disease resistant and keeps growing. These require a little bit more deadheading, and as you can see, they're prone to black spot over here. See, that's black spot, and they have a lot more thorns, but they are so beautiful. Like, these smell so good, and they're just that old English style rose, which I love, and they're so pretty. They're like a soft pink, so it just looks so pretty when the whole garden has like that soft pink and white. It's just really whimsical feeling, and I love that. Also, I really love salvia. These have just shot right back up super quickly. It's a beautiful purple color, and it just adds such a nice pop to the garden, and these do go all season long as well. You do have to deadhead them, so like these will kind of start to die a little bit, and then you can just snip them and then they'll keep growing. So they have done really well for me. I have been very neglectful about deadheading, so I need to come in here and just maintain some of this stuff, but these are a great bee attractor as well. Like, bees love these, so it's great for the garden. Also, I planted the rosemary bushes last year, and I use these all the time in my cooking. They have been so convenient. Not only are they pretty, but they're practical, and they smell so good. So if you're looking for just a very hardy shrub to plant in your yard, I definitely recommend rosemary, just because you can use it in cooking as well, and I love that kind of Mediterranean feel that it gives off. Same thing with the olive tree. Those help to give off the Mediterranean feel as well. I really need to trim this. It's just getting wild and out of hand, and I want to make it more of like a tree. So just a trunk, and then the branches come out at the top. So as you can see over here, we just have branches all over the place. So that kind of works out because I want to use some of this in decorating. So I'm going to come in here and chop some of these and then put them in a vase inside, and I think that will be really nice to just kind of clean this up a bit and then also add to our decor inside. And even though the salvia and rosemary and olive tree look so pretty, we really need to kind of do some cleaning over here. We have these ugly pots. I need to replace these with something. I also planted a ton of really beautiful lavender varieties over here, and they all died right in the heat of the summer last year. So we need to go in here and weed some of this stuff and just clean it up. So I don't really want to buy new plants for these pots, so I'm wondering if I can honestly just propagate some of the salvia and take a little chunk and plant some in here, because I think this one did really well last year, and it's kind of overcrowding this area anyway, so it'd be nice if I could just do that. Okay, so I have this blackberry plant that I bought last year on clearance at Lowe's, and I've literally just left it in here all winter long, and it's already coming back and has little blackberry buds on it. So what I think I'm going to do is actually move this over near the arbor, because this needs some support, so it'll be perfect to plant in that larger planter, and I can kind of train it along the arbor and just clean it up a bit over there.
What's the angle? I'm not playing that game. It's the same business with a different name. Who's the target? Sorry, I'm not in the market. If I quit buying, you can't sell me anything.
Okay, so something that I've always wanted to plant in my garden has been arugula. And I found this the other day at Lowe's when I was looking for my other herbs, and it was like $5 for 6 heads of arugula, which I thought was pretty good. And I love arugula. I love having it with a little mozzarella and balsamic drizzle in a sandwich. It's great on salads, so I figured I would try to grow some and see if I have success with it. I'm gonna actually plant each one of these in its own container. It's gonna look a little silly at first because it's gonna be a big container and like a little head of arugula, but they do need space to grow, and I've heard that they are susceptible to mildew, so it needs airflow and it can't be like crowded in there with any other plants. So I am actually going to plant just a couple seeds of green onions around these because I have heard that the scent from the onions actually repels certain pests that these are susceptible to. So if you didn't know, the Dollar Tree actually has super cheap seeds. They're only 25 cents, which is crazy. I've never seen them that cheap. So I like to go there and stock up on things like green onions, zinnias, herbs, whatever. So I'm just going to use some of those green onion seeds and plant them around the arugula in each one of the planters.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
All right, everyone, that about wraps up this video. I hope that you enjoyed this little garden with me. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help to support the channel. And be sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my home decor and gardening content. I post videos every single week, so make sure you don't miss that by hitting the notification bell. And also leave me a comment below if you want to see more garden with me videos, if you want to see how the garden progresses throughout the season. Definitely let me know. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!